I am joined by Killswitch Engage frontman Jesse Leach. Mate, how has lockdown been for you? We were just talking about the need for human interaction.
Yeah, it's been a mixed bag, dude. Honestly, I really can't sit here and complain about stuff, but yeah, I definitely miss a lot of things. But in the same breath, it's really slowed me down and really enabled me to live a different life, to stay still, to be still, and to view everything with a different perspective. So It's been beautiful at the same time as it's been hard. But more importantly, just the state of the world is what bothers me more than anything. On my end, things aren't so bad,
Yeah, I understand that because it's a crazy time to be a deep thinker, which is something that I always associate with you. You have just done this track, Stop the Bleeding, with Robb Flynn and the Machine Head Gang. Let's go straight into the track before I ask about how you know each other and all the rest of it, because if we're talking about human history, Jesse, I always associate you, I know you're in a metal band, but I always associate you with hardcore and punk and ska and music that is about unity. With that in mind, was that why a song like Stop the Bleeding appealed, as well as it being with your buddies in Machine Head?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's a message that I've been saying for many, many years. And a message that I feel like gets misconstrued now that we're living in such weird, divisive times, I should say, because the message gets clouded. I mean, the song is called Stop the Bleeding. It's asking for the violence and brutality to stop. It's a positive message, but it's also a righteous message of anger. And it's not about one particular person. It's just about stuff that's been going on for decades and decades and decades. And yeah, at the core of that message is unity, absolutely. But crazy enough, it actually serves to divide people, which blows my mind where we are in these days, where calling for an end to police brutality has caused division amongst people. Just blows my mind.
It's a wild time, man. Did you find it cathartic to get this out? Because being a naturally creative person, and with the world in the situation that it's in, not only getting the chance to do something musically, but to do something musically that is something that you believe in. Did you find it somewhat cathartic to do Stop the Bleeding?
Yeah, I think if anything, it just kind of made me feel like I was contributing to something I believe in, to raise that sort of collective consciousness right now, which I think we desperately need, because I think people's senses are being dulled by shifty media, and honestly, this, I hope, if nothing else, can open up a greater conversation about just corruption from the powers that be in general. There's a lot of crazy, deceptive things going on, and for me to point at this particular issue right now is important, because this is where I feel our attention needs to be drawn. But in the same breath, it's about a much bigger picture too. I feel like humanity doesn't realize the power that we have as individuals to create change, to inflict change. If we actually banded together and started to have this open discussion about what we can do to make change, we would have so much power. But we are constantly divided by media, and it just blows my mind. It makes me angry, really. But, yeah, of course, I'm proud to work with Machine Head. Robb is become an old friend over the years, and someone I definitely have admired since the beginning of Machine Head. So total honor and a total pleasure, and I feel like it's, it gives me purpose. When I was working on it, I felt a real good sense of purpose while doing that.
When you speak about division, does it blow your mind that division exists within the alternative rock, metal, hardcore community? That has been... I've always felt naive, man. In that I just thought that a culture that is for the outsider, right? This music spoke to me and changed my life and pulled me in, because it was the first place that I felt I truly belonged. And that maybe it's my personal experience. But I was shocked when I saw the counter argument to it. Has it been a as someone involved with the creation of the track, is it like it must got to be even more mind blowing?
It's definitely mind blowing, but I'm also a realist. As much as I really champion unity and love and all of these great values that we should be upholding as a human race, we live in an age of war. We live in an age of greed, and our rulers, for better or for worse, are immersed in that particular type of culture. That's the way of the world. So yes, I love metal, hardcore, punk, the underground music. The reason I even got into it is because I did find my tribe, and it was a counter culture. But as this music has grown in popularity through the internet and what have you, it's welcomed a bunch of people in from other walks of life and become more of a mainstream thing. So when anything gets more mainstream, you're going to have that popular voice, or if you will, that brainwashed media voice. If you're steeped in the punk and hardcore and metal underground, there is definitely unity there from many years ago. But where we sit as of right now, for better or for worse, metal has become a huge genre of music and one that has power behind it. So it doesn't shock me that there is an oppositioning view, and the little voices that'll creep in to sort of take away from the main driving point. It's just something you got to deal with as an artist, and you have to have thick skin, and you have to let people speak, and hopefully they'll come to their own conclusions and find a common ground amongst each other without you policing their opinions too much. And I think that's another thing to be careful of, is you can't police people's minds. You can't police people's opinions. You need to let them speak, give them a platform to discuss. And with my page, I've learned to do that. As much as people piss me off in some of their comments, I've learned to just back away from the comments, let people talk. And most of the time, the problem gets solved, or the fans will come to the aid and make the point again, and I don't have to do anything. But music needs to speak to people to create that stimulus. The whole saying of like leading a horse to water, but you can't force it to drink. Yeah. My hope is, with nothing else with my lyrics, I'm leading you to the water, and you can choose to drink or to be thirsty.
Yeah, I agree. I don't believe in brainwashing either. I'm a big believer in conversation. Like, we're all humans. Even if you see something differently to me, we could talk about it. We ain't got to agree, but like, there's a line when I don't know, man. Let's talk about Machine Head.
Yeah, we can go on for hours about this.
I know, and as well, it's like, you can't do right for doing wrong at the moment, so it's a fucking terrifying time to even be talking about said things.
You have to lead. You have to have some balls, and you have to stick by what you feel is right, and that's it. If people are going to talk shit, they're going to talk shit. So be it.
Yeah, fair. When did you meet Rob? Did you remember when you first met the Machine Head guys?
Yeah, I met Rob very briefly at the Roadrunner United show in 2006, but it was just so quick. And then when Times of Grace came out, he was like a huge fan of Times of Grace, that first record. And he decided to take us out in, we were doing the Soundwave festivals in Australia, and so was Machine Head. So when you do Soundwave back in the day in Australia, you had sideshows. And Machine Head basically asked us to do all the sideshows. And on one of the flights from Sydney to, I think it was to Melbourne, Rob approached me in the airport and sat next to me and just started telling me that he was a fan of that Times of Grace record and what it meant to him. And I'm just sitting there like, it's blowing my mind that, this dude that I used to listen to back in the glory days, when it was like the bands that really shook my world were Machine Head, Sepultura. The early Roadrunner Records stuff was like the altar of metal. Like, if I were to listen to metal, it was that kind of metal that I dig on. And here's this guy like telling me that he's a fan of what I do. It just blew my mind. And yeah, since then we've had a mutual respect. We've hung out a few times here and there. We've talked online, but I just love him because he's unapologetically himself. He doesn't care what people think. And, he pisses off people with what he says. And I love that. You should be doing it. That's what fucking rock and roll and metal's all about. Piss people off and speak your mind. And he does that. And I totally respect that. I don't have to agree with every single thing he says, but I love that dude. I think his heart is in the right place, regardless of how he can lash out sometimes.
do you when you talk about the Times of Grace record, has there been any work on further Times of Grace stuff in this lockdown period? It feels like everyone's going to the well on not only their projects that they're mainly known for, but it feels like there's other stuff brewing as well.
Yeah, Times of Grace record is done. We have enough song for a full-length record and enough song for an EP afterwards if we choose to. We've decided to separate the two batches of songs. It's done, and I'm extremely proud of it. And I think it's probably the best work that Adam and I have ever done in our careers. Not only because it's something we're proud of lyrically and what it stands for, and it's much different from the first record. I just think because it's diverse, it shows a little bit more of a rock side, a little bit more of a stoner sort of post-metal side. It shows more blues. It gave us freedom to just do whatever we wanted to do. That, and Adam took the reins on, I want to say half the record is him leading and half is me, and then we come together on songs. So you're going to hear a lot more of Adam's creativity in his voice. And I wrote a couple of songs that he sang, and he brought a whole different light to it. So I'm extremely proud of that. And then I have my punk band, The Weapon. We just put out a full length. Got more of that to come. I also have a project called Dead Trees I've been quietly working on, which is industrial metal, dubstep, weird electronic shit. Yeah, I'm keeping busy, dude. It's really the only thing keeping me sane. And then I also have an ambient project called The Way Back Within, which is like meditational, like calming, like anti-anxiety sort of the kind of music you hear in like a massage parlor. You know? It's really mellow stuff. So I've got a bunch of stuff going on. Yeah, and I love it. I got to stay creative. I have to.
So Deep Trees, is there anyone else involved with that, or is that just you?
Yeah, my girlfriend, she does vocals, and eventually what we're going to do when we start presenting it, I'll be doing the electronics, DJing, programming, backup screaming, and whatever. She'll be doing the main vocals, and she's also an aerial performer. She does silk, she does pole. So we're going to incorporate her doing live performance while we're performing once we get to that point. And it's really dark and sexy and sort of trip hop industrial with some real heavy metal and bass beats like dubstep, all kind of mashed into one little beast. So it should be interesting.
And you're
very different for me.
Your meditational stuff. Have you ever, like, forgive me if I'm putting ideas in your head here, but have you ever considered doing the guided meditational stuff? Because, like, this between you and I, like, and everyone listening, I guess, like, this shit changed my life. Like, literally, like, no hyperbole, like, being able to tap into within really changed my life. And I think that so many people could benefit from it. Like, I'm super stoked to hear that you're doing something in that realm, but could you give us a little bit more inside that? Yeah.
And for anyone who's curious, if you go on Bandcamp and look up The Way Back Within, I got 5 songs up there. Yeah, I know the guided meditation thing is cool. I don't think I'm the one to do it though. I mean, I could do like sort of a monotone meditational voice thing, but I'm no teacher when it comes to that stuff. And yeah, meditation is super crucial. And I think one thing I need to point out with people who when they hear that word meditate, it seems like a very daunting and sort of intimidating thing. Like you've got to be this monk, zoning out for hours in the cosmos, when in all actuality, meditation can be 2 minutes of your time where you put your damn phone on silent, turn it off, sit and just be and breathe and just try to clear your mind or try to focus on one thing and be present in the moment. It can be 2 minutes, it can be a minute, and you'd be surprised how little effort goes such a long way into sort of rewiring your brain and helping you to calm and refocus on things. I found it extremely helpful for anxiety and panic mode, learning how to breathe properly, learning how to be still. It's definitely something very important, but I don't see myself as a teacher when it comes to that stuff. But I think my music will definitely help people who are trying to sort of search that out. I very intentionally wrote the songs on certain BPMs, so it goes with breathing, goes with heart rate, and I've even tricked people into slowing their breathing down through the music. It's something very intentional, but it's very subliminal at the same time.
And so I'll ask a little bit more about Times of Grace, because it's fucking great to see you as visibly excited about it as you are with it being done. With Killswitch and your songwriting dynamic with Adam, like there is a Killswitch sound that you'll try and pull into other areas. Like people want a certain thing from Killswitch. With Times of Grace, is it nice being able to blow that up and just be like, roads, where we're going, we don't need roads?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. You know, I've been able to explore like the lower register of my voice, which, you know, since having the vocal surgery, since having sort of relearning my instrument since my surgery, I realized that I've neglected a huge part of my voice. So in the Times of Grace stuff, I try to go lower in some of the stuff. And then when I do go high, Adam's voice is there on the bottom with the harmony. So we're really playing with harmonies and sounds, and it's given me freedom to sing softer and calmer and parts that I'm not used to doing, because Killswitch is like pretty much high. It's like a very driving high sort of vocal style. And that being said, though, I'll be honest with you, like moving forward with Killswitch, I definitely want to try new things with that as well. I think we have had our Killswitch sound. We have had our moment with that, but I feel like we've been doing this long enough where we're going to push a little bit with that as well. So I'm just open to just trying new things. I don't ever want to be comfortable in my own skin with any project. I want to continue to challenge myself. So Times of Grace is a nice way of stretching that muscle and also opening my eyes to the possibilities of having Times of Grace sound leak into Killswitch. You know, it doesn't have to be vice versa. And I think that that's important for us as Killswitch to realize that we don't have to stay within these certain boundaries that our career and fans sort of expect from us. In fact, I think that can be detrimental to a band as well, unless you're AC/DC, and if it's not broken, don't fucking fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. AC/DC Motorhead, fine.
Yeah, don't fucking touch that shit.
So, just to finish up on Times of Grace and to finish up on this chat in general, do you find yourself in a good creative spot at the minute, Jesse? Like, I love what you do as a vocalist, man. Like, you're a fucking blessing to our scene, and being able to know that there's more coming. Is it like, I know it's a shit part of human history, and it's hard to eschew like positivity in a time when so many of our fellow humans are in a time of shit. But do you feel creatively fulfilled with like all of these directions and all of these things that you can do with your vocals, and the fact that you're still learning what you can do for your vocals at this point in 2020? Do you feel creatively fulfilled?
I don't think the word fulfilled is a good one to use for me, because I'm never really fulfilled. I'm constantly pushing and constantly wanting more. And I think any artist should, if you want to continue to grow and be relevant not only to yourself but to society, to have something to say. And I think I'll always have something to say for sure, but it's been a struggle. You know, there are days where I get up and I just like, I gotta write, I gotta do this. And then there are days when I'm fucking staying in bed and I'm watching all 4 Indiana Jones movies, even the bad one. Like, I don't, you know, I'm a human, you know, and I have days where I don't want to get out of bed and I don't want to check the internet. I don't want to see what's going on. And I've had those days where I don't. And thankfully, I live in the middle of a national park, so I can just fuck off for the day and like go lose myself. And then when I come back, I've got more strength and I have more purpose and more intention to continue to create and hopefully make a difference, because I don't do this for, you know, fame or money. Because if I did, I'd be out of this for a long, long time ago, man. But this is what I live for. I live to try to spread a message that I believe in. And I live for raising people's awareness and hopefully shedding light on issues that I feel are important. And things like racism, things like, you know, being against war and violence. These things are universal. These things I was steeped in the punk and hardcore scene. And it's part of my... you know, it's part of my upbringing. It's part of my roots. It's part of my culture. We have to try to like strive to be better as humans. And I think if nothing else, that's my motivation, whether or not I'm inspired to write music or, you know, to write poetry or work on something. I try to live it on a daily basis, even with just interacting and communicating with people here in my community, in my neighborhood, or somebody I see in the store, extending a hand of courtesy, extending just something nice to say to somebody, or making eye contact and smiling with your eyes underneath the mask. It can be something as small as that, as to something as large as creating an entire record that is a protest, which I did with The Weapon, which I'm very proud of that record. If you guys are fans of punk, anarchist shit, definitely check out The Weapon. Really into that shit. Overall, dude, I'm trying to live it. I don't want to just write about it. I don't want to just put it into my music. I'm trying to put it into my daily life.
Well, we'll put the description in the description below, a link to The Weapon record, so that you can check that out. Are we likely to hear Times of Grace this year, do you think?
I hope so. I think we're we're pacing ourselves. We're trying to be smart with how we're going to put it out, how we're going to present it. You know, the last record, there was a lot of visuals to accompany the record. I want to make sure we roll it out in a very sort of artistic way where I want nothing more than people to sort of get the chills on their arm and the back of their neck when they get the first taste of what we're going for. So we're working diligently behind the scenes to find out if we're going to find a home on a record label, if we're going to do it independently. But it must be to a certain standard. I mean, hell, we've waited this long to put this thing out. So we're going to make sure when we roll it out, it's exactly how we want it to be rolled out, with the artwork and the feel and the vibe. I just want it to be something so different and hopefully refreshing to the music community, something that people don't see coming. We'll see what happens.